Hello and welcome to Surviving to Thriving. Through this program, we will cover anxiety management, managing stress, time management, managing procrastination, and finally, facing failure. We will begin with anxiety management. And where better to begin than with breathing? When people discuss anxiety management techniques, they usually talk about breathing techniques. So many of us know that we need to focus on our breathing when we are struggling with anxiety, but not many of us know why. When people are struggling with anxiety, maybe even having a panic attack, they most frequently breathe in a rapid, shallow breathing style, usually focused in the chest area, which accounts for about 30 to 40% of your potential lung capacity. However, the lungs' capacity can drop down to 20 to 30% when breathing in shallow, rapid breaths. This amount of oxygen absorption is not good for the body. In fact, it can cause oxygen deprivation, also known as hypoxia. Let's take a moment to look at some of the symptoms of hypoxia alongside the symptoms of a potential panic attack. So they start with anxiety. They move on to confusion and difficulty breathing. Dizziness and lightheadedness you can have as well. Headaches, restlessness, increased heart rate. The list goes on for both of them. But as you can see from the initial list, the potential symptoms are identical. I am not saying that hypoxia and panic attacks are the same thing, but this comparison shows why anxiety management focuses on the breath and increasing one's oxygen intake. When the brain is deprived of oxygen for extended periods, it begins to shut down based on evolutionary necessity and priority. And what evolution classifies as a priority differs from what we think is a priority in our modern day lives. Now we arrive at safe mode. What I might mean by this is the brain will always prioritize preserving life by focusing on safety and potential threats. For example, in this situation, finding more oxygen. I like to call this state safe mode. Have you ever had your computer go into safe mode, where it'll do what it needs to, but nothing else? With the brain, it is doing this in a literal sense, keeping you alive, safe, and well. Instead of answering that complicated question you are stuck on an interview or an exam, it is looking for the exit. Imagine that you will cross the road in an oxygen-deprived state, and your brain is only observing potential risks in safe mode. You reach the edge of the road. Your vision only sees the cars, the buses, the cyclists, the runners. You then rush across the road when you think it's safe to do so. All you've seen is potential risks, nothing else. Now, let's imagine the same situation, but this time you are in a fully oxygenated state with your brain in what we will now call normal operational mode. For the purpose of this analogy, let's think again about it. So, you reach now the edge of the road. You observe the cars, the buses, the cyclists, the runners, the people, and so on. You wait to cross at an appropriately safe time, while you also observe all the potential risks, as well as taking in the day, the beautiful weather above, even the birds flying overhead, and anything else happening at that time. By observing the entire situation, you are aware of not only the potential risks, but also all that is happening around you. Have you ever noticed this in your life? When you are stressed, worried, or anxious, you see one problem, then another, and then another, building and building and building within your mind. This may be due to your anxiety, which may be worsened through reduction in your oxygen levels, for your brain is in a state of looking for problems and potential risks. Focusing on your breathing allows you to re-establish your oxygen levels, which in turn reactivates your full brain's potential. I am not saying that this oxygen will magically fix all of your problems, but it will take you from problem finding to problem solving. You will become aware of the entire situation through holistic observations of your environment. The importance of practice. There are numerous breathing methods and approaches, from visualization of shapes where your breath travels around them, imagining yourself in a safe place, through to counting and beyond. In truth, they all can work. However, for them to work, they need to be embodied in the person through regular practice. Without practice, the image I have for you is of David and Goliath. But David has no stones. For those who may not have heard of David and Goliath from the Bible, it is a story of a young shepherd who was incredibly talented with a slingshot. And he represented his tribe in a duel against the strongest warrior of the opposing side, called Goliath. The two were sent to fight each other to not have more men die in battle. David was a young small shepherd walking towards the undefeated gargantuan warrior called Goliath. But as he did, he picked up a stone, spun it above his head, and catapulted it and projected this projectile at Goliath's head, hitting the warrior on the temple and ending his life there and then. But imagine for a moment this small shepherd in the same situation without any stones. The outcome would be undoubtedly have been very different. By utilizing practice, we learn to embody techniques so they are there when we need them. With practice, David goes from being a guy without any stones into becoming Bruce Lee. For anyone who does not know who Bruce Lee is, arguably one of the greatest martial artists of his era, do look him up. But in the immortal words of Bruce Lee, "I do not fear the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I do fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times." I suggest practicing 1 or 2 times daily in a calm, relaxed state. Practicing in such a state can imprint upon the technique, meaning when you utilize it, you will remember those times when you were previously relaxed, which can increase the feelings of calm when you need it most. 2 words to remember. When we are in a panic state with depleted oxygen levels, most people do not remember to think of a shape, count specific numbers, or even be able to visualize a place they would prefer to be. So I developed my technique to focus on these 2 words, a mantra if you will, which I hope most of us can remember even in an oxygen-deprived state. They are slow down. That's it, slow down. You can extend it to slow down the breath, but that doesn't stick. If that doesn't stick, then simply slow down. Now we arrive at the technique. Now this technique is an accumulation of the varieties of methods in the world. It starts with breathing in through the nose and focusing the breath into the belly, which can account for about 60% of the oxygen absorption in the body. You continue like a wave to inflate your lungs into your upper chest, accounting for 30 to 40% of your lungs capacity. Finally, you inflate the upper lungs, raising your shoulders to your ears. Pause for a moment, and then you exhale through the mouth, allowing the shoulders, the chest, and the belly to return to their neutral position. Repeat this technique for as long as it is needed. This technique utilizes about 80 to 100% of a person's lung capacity. Remember I said the technique follows the mantra of slow down. With this in mind, you may start inhaling rapidly like this. But you remember to slow down, focusing the slowing the breaths into a more regular breathing pattern. Now I will demonstrate this technique for you 3 times. Feel free to join in if you want to. So we breathe in first, in through the nose, into the belly, into the chest, raise the shoulders, hold, and then we exhale through the mouth, allowing the shoulders, chest, and belly to return things. We breathe in again. Breathe in, hold, and exhale. Last one. Okay, so let's breathe in together. Breathe in, hold, and exhale. There you have it. Take a moment to reflect on how you feel right now after doing those breaths. This technique also comes with what I call a psychological trip switch. I'll explain. The part of this technique that, being honest, looks a little weird is what I'm referring to. Asking you to raise your shoulders to your ears and let them return to their resting position. Have you ever heard the phrase, "I feel like I got the whole world on my shoulders"? Or have you ever noticed where your shoulders are when you're stressed at your desk working? Are they up here by your ears? Have you ever, or has someone you know, when they get home from a hard day's work, let their whole body flop onto the sofa or the bed to rest? These situations and numerous others have told us that having our shoulders tensed up to our ears like this equals stress, and when they are down in a rest position, this equals relaxation. Incorporating this movement of drawing the shoulders towards the ears and allowing them to drop back down into the resting position can trip a psychological switch within us. Our brains notice we are allowing the shoulders to drop, like when we're relaxed. The brain may think, maybe I'm relaxed. Then it will open pathways and channels within the body to allow the oxygenated blood to circulate more effectively, increasing the effectiveness of this technique. When to use this technique is the next question. I recommend using an anxiety-ometer. Imagine in your head a scale of 0 equals as calm as you can be. So calm, in fact, you're nearly falling asleep. 10, on the other hand, you are sitting on the edge of an erupting volcano. Answer this question. If you were sitting on the edge of an erupting volcano, debris is landing around you, eggs are frying around your feet, molten lava is approaching, what should you do? The answer I hope most of you is saying is run! When we are in this state of anxiety, there is only one thing we can do, for our bodies only have one response to that level of anxiety, and that's to get away. So for any anxiety management to be effective, we must utilize it when it can be most effective. The earlier we deploy the anxiety management technique, the more effective it will be. I want you to keep the anxiety-ometer in your mind. When you feel like a 5 out of 10, deploy the technique. But if you feel that a 5 out of 10 is too late and it has gravity taking it towards that volcano, then try maybe a 4 out of 10, or even a 3 out of 10. The earlier you deploy this technique, the more effective it will be. Finally, here are the key points I'd like you to take away from this video. When we are anxious, we focus on the breath because many of us enter rapid, shallow breathing patterns, leading to potential oxygen reduction in the body. Number 2, when the brain is deprived of oxygen, it focuses on keeping us alive, leading to a risk-focused mindset. Number 3, utilizing a deep, full lung breathing technique reestablishes oxygen throughout the body and the brain, reactivating its potential to solve problems. Number 4, practicing breathing techniques ensures a person can utilize them when needed. Number 5, practicing when calm and relaxed can imprint onto the technique to increase feelings of calm when required. Number 6, raising and lowering the shoulders not only accesses the upper lung area, but also trips the psychological switch to increase the technique's effectiveness. Number 7, anxiety-ometers. Remember, the earlier you deploy the technique, the more effective it will be. There you have it. That's my approach to anxiety management, which I hope serves you should you ever need it. If you did find this helpful, please do like and subscribe, as it really helps the channel. And should you know anyone who could benefit from this video, please share it with them. Don't forget the other Surviving to Thriving videos, which I hope can benefit you as much as this one. Finally, should you like to access a richer and more fulfilling life full of joy, happiness, love, and so much more, then I am proud to announce that after 20 years in the making, my work, The Compass, is now available in the form of a book as well as an online program, which you will find links to in the description below this very video. Thank you for watching, and ciao for now.